Welcome to the OPSQC podcast, helping entrepreneurs, innovators, and small business owners scale to profitability. The goal of this podcast is to showcase real businesses, real owners, tell their stories, learn a little, and have some fun while doing it. Today, I have the pleasure of welcoming Bailey Kramer, one of the managing partners of Property Dogs, LLC, located in the greater Chicago area. Property Dogs is a lead generation firm, as well as purchases and flips different types of properties. They do residential units. They also do commercial units. Please welcome Bailey Kramer. Bailey, welcome, and thank you for taking time to be on the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely, Jared. I'm super excited. And yeah, thanks for having me on.
To start out, you want to give people a little bit of background on Property Dogs and the investment business?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Property Dogs was founded by myself and my partner almost about a year ago, maybe a little bit less than a year ago. And the whole idea behind it is, so first of all, we're real estate investors. So the two things that every single real estate investor needs, whether they're just starting out or they are owning millions and millions of dollars worth of real estate, is they need deals and they need money.
Sure.
So we decided we're going to attack one of those itches that these investors have to scratch, and that's going to be the deals portion of it. So how that works is whether you're in single family, whether you're buying single family homes, big apartment complexes, you need to have basically a pipeline of leads coming in, just like pretty much any other business having the sales funnel. Same thing for us real estate investors. We need to look at a bunch of deals to get that one deal that's going to make us money.
Sure.
So after talking to tons of investors, that was a big issue, especially in today's market, because interest rates are super low. That means there's a lot of people buying. It's easier to buy. So competition's through the roof. So we decided, okay, how can we, first of all, we need it for ourselves. We're investors. We want to find properties. How can we first get a system down for ourselves?
Yeah.
And then once we had that down, we said, okay, how can we duplicate that for other investors? And that's kind of what we've done through the Property Dogs.
Okay. And how many people are there? Is it just you and your partner?
Yeah. So me and my partner, Frank, we're the two owners of the company. And then we have about 4 employees behind the scenes working our lead generation system.
Sure.
And our 4 employees are actually overseas in different countries, which is kind of cool and unique. And we're able to all work in tandem to get it done, work on the lead generation.
That's all. Yeah, I know Frank, and Frank is definitely a go-getter. One of the things I really admire about him. Did you guys have help forming the entity, or did you guys do this yourselves?
Are you talking as far as like the actual legal structure
The actual
goes?
legal, forming the actual legal side of the business, the corporation or the company.
Yeah. So as far as the legal side of things, we didn't have any outside help, not too much outside help. So as far as creating the LLC, there's a lot of online resources that we used for that. And then as far as the operating agreement and kind of the nitty gritty, that's when we kind of consulted the lawyers and used those types of resources.
Makes sense. So you guys are an LLC, and when you went in, I mean, you had a very explicit goal for what the company was going to do, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. And you mentioned that real estate is really super hot right now. And I mean, here in Illinois, it's like, houses are going for more than the asking price, right?
Yep.
It's really it's a seller's market right now, right?
Big time.
So what was the original impetus that kind of pushed you and Frank to really go down this path?
Yeah, well, it was really that we saw that it's a seller's market first and foremost. Interest rates are super low, and no one knows how long they're going to be super low. But we know that for the foreseeable future, for us as investors, we know that we need to find a way to continue getting deals because, maybe 5 years ago, going on Zillow or talking to a realtor was a very easy way to find a deal. There's plenty of them out there. You can get it done. Nowadays, for any type of property, if it's listed on the market, you can bet that within a week, there'll either be some really solid offers on it, or it's really solid offers. It's going to be over asking price. And honestly, there's probably people coming in with cash that are going to get it done really soon. So we, for us as investors and entrepreneurs, we knew we weren't just going to say, deals are hard to find. we'll just move to a different profession or different industry. We just said, okay, we still like real estate just the same, maybe even more now. How are
Sure.
we going to make it work where we can actually continue to grow our portfolio, our business, even in a competitive market?
And I know you guys have a lot of different properties going on at once. And so, what is the unique aspect of property dogs in the real estate investment side? Like, is there like a specific pitch or niche that you guys really serve?
Yeah. So it's interesting because lead generation is one of those things that, every industry has lead generation. There's get some good rep, some bad rep. There's just a lot of different things going on with it.
Hmm.
But for us, what makes us unique and different is a few different things. Now, first and foremost, I want to say that the systems and processes we use,
Hmm.
we've taken some things, we've made it proprietary, and we've built out our system. Our system's kind of unique to us.
Okay.
But as far as the data, as far as our methods,
Hmm.
some of those things aren't as proprietary. So, for example, you can go to the courthouse. You can go online and look up just public information
Sure.
about properties. So, and with that, there's a few key indicators. There might be an owner looking to sell a property.
Hmm.
So that could be maybe on public record there was a divorce, and usually typically in divorces they need to sell their house.
Sure.
Well, to us as investors, and we see that and say, okay, they need to sell their house. How
Hmm.
can we go and basically help them ease their pain? Because a lot of times they can get in a sticky situation.
Sure.
So really that's the part where, okay, there's public information out there. Anybody could access that, right?
Right.
Then there's the different methods of, okay, how do you actually talk to that person? How do you actually talk to that homeowner?
Right.
There's, I can name probably 50 different ways, but just to name a few, you
Hmm.
could send them a mailer, you could text them, you could call them, you could send them an email, you can a message through Facebook. There's so many different ways to contact them.
Sure.
Now, so that's kind of in the broad sense.
Hmm.
And anybody could look up a list and do any of those.
Hmm.
But the system we've created is we're strictly using texting and calling.
Okay.
And so that's kind of, anyone can text and anyone can call. But
Hmm.
within that, that's where we've kind of created our systems, our processes, and we've really learned and mastered what to say, how to say it, and when to say it,
Sure.
which kind of gives us a little bit of an edge.
Hmm.
And so for us, it's we use the analogy, anyone can mow their own lawn, but if you pay somebody, what could you be doing with that time? Could you be making more with your time? So
Sure.
for investors like ourselves too, is we could say to someone, hey, this is exactly what we do. This is how to do it. But if they have to sit on the phone all day, they're not going to be productive in their business.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the value proposition that we hold is, well, we found a system that works, number one,
Right.
right? Number two, you don't actually have to spend any time on it because we're, our system, our process, that is the time.
Right.
And we have a system already built. So we say, yes, you can't, you can go figure it out yourself. It's going to take you, I mean, it took us months and months and we're still mastering it.
Yep.
But it's taken us months and months to just develop it. And that's really the only way to really do it is trial and error and talking to people who've done it. But even with that, you're still always learning nuances. So our big value proposition is, we have a system that works. It'll save you, number one, time,
Hmm.
and it's not gonna ding you. It's not gonna cost you over the top pricing. Of course, it's an investment, it's an expense, but as far as the value of your time goes,
Right.
it's typically worth it for a savvy investor.
Yeah, I remember talking to Frank, maybe about 6 or 7 months ago when we first met through the McHenry County Chamber of Commerce, and you know, I thought it was interesting because you can get involved in real estate investment without actually doing the actual real estate investment yourself. That's what you
Right.
guys do, right? You guys do the nuts and bolts of it. You're doing the heavy lifting. As an investor, you're just putting your money there. You're enjoying the fruits and the benefits of the market at the time, right?
Yeah, so yeah, and that's correct. And we do two different things. So we have the property dog side of it, which is what I've
Right.
been talking about, where we're basically a lead provider.
Sure.
So think of a funnel. We take thousands of names. we filter them out through our system, and we take our little pot of gold and say to our client, here you go. Here are 10 people who want to sell their home for X and X reason. This is how you can go ahead and do it. So at that point, we're out of the picture. We hand off the lead, and as far as our involvement is very limited from there. You know, if they buy it and sell it, they get all the money. We just have our arrangement up front with them.
Okay.
Now, at the same point with this lead providing, we're basically a client of our own company.
Sure.
Because we need leads as well.
Right.
So for those leads, that's when we're actually taking it the step further and basically handing the leads to ourselves, and then figuring out, okay, what's the best plan of action for this property? Then we'll actually go ahead, do the heavy lifting of investing in the deal, fixing the deal up. And that's when we take on investors and get outside help from.
Sure. Okay. That's interesting. So you have the lead generation process, where it's a handoff. You have the lead generation process for internal use. Then you've got investment. That's a great diversity to have. I didn't realize that was the approach. So
yeah.
Kind of back up a little bit. You talked about Facebook a little bit, and early on we talked about how you and Frank connected. Can you go into that story?
Yeah. So it's actually a really funny story, and in the moment it seemed all. I mean, I think it is normal, especially in today's age with technology. But when I explain the story to people, it's like, wow, that seems kind of weird, but it's just funny. So basically what happened was about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, I started getting interested in real estate. So I was reading the books, listening to the podcasts, networking and all that. And I got to a point where I said, okay, I'm at a comfortable level. I understand the concepts. I need to just start networking a little bit more with higher level people. So something I did was I joined Facebook groups. Now, any industry, there's Facebook groups with tons of value and knowledge in there. So for me, obviously I was interested in real estate. So I went on Facebook, looked up real estate investing Facebook groups, and started joining. I probably have like 50 of them by now. And I would just go ahead, and whoever was active in the group, I would message them just for a quick networking call, just to get to know them. Because what I found is I could learn a lot from other people's experiences and avoid the mistakes that they made. And, in return, maybe be able to help them with something as well. So what I did was I was in a Facebook group, and I saw this guy, Frank. He was commenting. He was active. You could tell he was pretty serious in the group, at least, right? So he had something to him. And, I connected with him. We went back and forth on Facebook, Messenger, hopped on a phone call, and that was that. We got to know each other, but obviously we didn't just say, okay, let's start a business together. That was 6 months down the line. So in the short term, where it went was we both ended up joining a mastermind group. And basically what that is, and I believe they have them for any industry.
Yes, they do.
Yeah. So the basic concept, just for the listeners that aren't aware, it's at least the way I think of it, it's a group of like-minded individuals all reaching towards the same or similar goal. And it's a group to basically help each other out. So in the real estate investing world, there's tons of them as well. And by helping each other out, that could be partnering, that could be, investing, so many different ways to help somebody out and get mutual benefit, of course.
Sure.
So Frank and I actually joined the same mastermind group.
Okay.
And basically we've been in the group for, I guess, over a year now, almost. And a few months after we were both in the group, just networking with everybody, he came to me and said, this lead generation thing, it's kind of drying up for me. So that's how we actually were able to put our heads together and form the Property Dogs, get the investment side going, because we were able to kind of add value to each other and use our strengths and weaknesses to complement each other. And that's kind of how Property Dogs started.
Isn't that amazing, the power of networking and especially in today's day and age? Like, meeting on Facebook, like, a couple of years ago, people would be like, what are you talking about? But in today's COVID world, right, it's legitimate. You can meet somebody, you can network with them like you did. And as long as you're networking in earnest and trying to build that relationship, it's pretty amazing what can come out of that. right?
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
your story is point in case, right? You and Frank developed a very trusting relationship enough to go into business together, and that's pretty remarkable. I always enjoy hearing about connection stories like that work out in the
Yeah. Yeah, it's super cool. And I've had honestly a ton more just from social media. Actually, the way I found the mastermind group was a
end.
very similar way.
Right.
Reaching out to people, someone recommended it, I got linked up with that. I've had also investors as well. People I just meet through social media. We get talking, we build our relationship, and next thing you know, they want to invest in one of our deals. So it's really crazy the power of social media.
Hmm.
And actually the craziest thing about it all about social media is it's pretty much free. Anyone can access it. It's obviously there's things you could pay for if you wanted to, if
Sure.
you want to boost posts or whatever. But pretty much everything that I've done as far as connecting with people, actually everything I've done with connecting with people has been free, which is kind of cool to because you hear, there's so many different ways you can pay to get different benefits,
Hmm.
but social media at the end of the day, it's completely free, and anyone could gain a lot of traction using the free resource.
Well,
Just
and
some time.
the other thing you hit on was the mastermind groups. So, I've experienced a couple different mastermind groups. They're typically very vertical centered, right? So, manufacturing might be one, auto dealers is another. It's interesting in the auto dealership space, they call them 20 groups because there's
Mm.
usually 20 people, all like minded, like you said, getting together. And when you get people who know a niche together like that, some pretty amazing things happen and come out of those. So, I definitely recommend people get involved with those.
Definitely. And honestly, a simple Google search will get you in the right direction, no matter what niche you're in. Is real estate masterminds. Well, if there's a certain real estate, if you're interested in real estate, I know a ton that are just out there that I could help with. But
Sure.
really, any industry, like you said, auto sales, manufacturing,
Mhm.
they're really all over the place.
Take advantage of them. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I have to ask you, were you in Chicago at the time that you and Frank connected, or were you out of state? I mean, are you guys geographically even in the same area?
Yeah, that's a good question. So yeah, and for the listeners, so I go to school down in Florida. I grew up in Wisconsin, and that's where my family is. That's actually where I'm at right now.
Hmm.
And then Frank, my partner with Property Dogs and all the investments, he's only about an hour and 15 minutes south of me in McHenry, Illinois.
Sure.
So I'm in Milwaukee. He's in McHenry, only about an hour 15 away. When we first started talking, just on Facebook and online, we haven't met yet. We didn't, we haven't met in person quite yet. But since we're not too far away, me being Milwaukee, him being in McHenry, we were able to meet face to face after, seriously weeks, if not a couple of months of working together on Zoom, which is also an amazing thing that you could, we basically have a virtual office on Zoom that we're able to talk with literally every single day and, build our relationship that way. But definitely face to face brings it to a different level.
Hmm.
But Zoom, especially in the beginning, is such a great resource.
Absolutely. I mean, that's how we record all these podcasts.
Right.
It's everybody says they're Zoom fatigued and everything, but you know what? It is a great tool that rose to the challenge in this economy here. I have to ask you, because of the abnormal nature that you guys connected and everything, how was this venture received by your friends and family? Like, was everybody on board, or did people kind of look at you with like a little bit of a squint, like, seriously, you're gonna go into business with a guy off Facebook?
That's a good question. And it's funny that you mentioned that and so true with really any venture that any new thing that someone's getting into, you
Mhm.
always have the pushback, you always have hopefully some motivation.
Right.
And so what we had was, I guess, two different fronts. The first front was our mastermind group.
Hmm.
So that's a group that completely supportive.
Sure.
And that's really what the group is there for. At the end of the day, is support, motivation, accountability.
Hmm.
So, from that standpoint, huge motivation, encouragement, and that's always great. And that's what you need. That's a big reason why those groups are there.
Yeah.
Family, same thing. Like I'm lucky enough where I had a lot of encouragement and support from my family. They
Oh,
were, they were asking, who, what, they were asking some questions, but overall supportive. And
okay.
then I had some friends who they didn't quite get it. They kind of had the classic reaction you'd probably think of,
Hmm.
oh, did you do a background check on him yet? Did he, do you know his favorite, just, very detailed questions that it all comes out of support. But
Right.
the other reason too, why these mastermind groups are so important in any industry
Mhm.
is if I have a real estate investing question,
Right.
as much as I love my mom, I'm not asking her about it because
Right.
she's not in the industry. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So I want to ask those people who are in the industry the questions that pertain to the industry. And then if it's more of a personal thing or something that I'd ask my parents about, my mom and dad,
Yep.
I'd go to them for those helps. But as far as, getting this started, I had the support of the people that I ultimately really wanted and needed support of.
Okay.
And the people who, my friends, they they don't, they're in a different, I guess, different industries, different mindset, whole different world in that sense, where it I I guess I've thick enough skin where I can just kind of tone that out and just say realistically, I wouldn't go to them for investing advice because
Sure.
they're not in the event. So that wasn't too big of a deal, but definitely the support of the people that truly mattered that were in the space, that was definitely a big help.
Definitely, if you're going to start a business, you got to have thick skin. Like, you got to
Yeah.
use your own judgment to a certain extent. So I applaud you for that. Question on how you guys went into it. Did you guys actually create a formal business plan, or did you guys kind of sketch out the rough outline, kind of like a framework, and execute on that? Like, how diligent and how detailed were you in that planning process?
That's a really good question. And it's funny now looking back at it. At first, we knew at first, and the whole reason why we really got together was lead generation. We knew we needed to create, we needed leads. We need to, without leads, you're not investing in any property.
Exactly.
So our first step was, okay, we need leads. Now from there, we've spent seriously a good handful of months, a lot of weeks, just really exploring different avenues
Mhm.
of how we can actually generate leads. What should we do? Should we do mailing? Should we do calling? Should we do text? All these different ways. We spent, and it's kind of crazy. How can you spend like a few months on that? Well, yeah, we're spending full days of just basically planning how this would look, what our costs would look like. Really just planning it, but kind of as we went because we knew there was so much to explore.
Mhm.
And then we got to the point where we said, okay, we've explored all these different options. We've seen, enough people talk about different lead generation methods.
Mhm.
We're most comfortable, and we want to put our eggs into this basket, which
Mhm.
is the texting and the calling.
Okay.
And from there, that's when we started building our plan. As
Mhm.
far as like a classic business, like, a classic 10-page business plan, we don't have anything of that nature.
Okay.
What we do is more of a systems and processes outline.
Sure.
And so everything is really through Excel and through, documents,
Mhm.
Word doc, WordPress, not WordPress, the Microsoft Word. Yeah.
Okay.
So, from there, we're mapping out exactly where we want to be, basically projections, where we want to be in 6 months. We're mapping out our systems and processes. What happens when we get a new client? What happens so pretty much every what if scenario,
Mhm.
and we have documented. Again, as far as a formal 10-page business plan, we haven't created anything like that. That's not really our style.
And that's not
But
uncommon, actually.
what do you say?
A lot of people I talked to on the podcast, they, did not have a formal business plan, or it was kind of like back of the napkin. Maybe their
Yeah,
very first one. A lot of people, create business plans because they're going for funding.
right,
It's really driven by that need, right? But if you don't need it, I think you guys definitely have the right approach, which is it's more about the process. And I'm kind of biased because I come from a quality background where, we wanted SOPs, procedures, we want process maps for pretty
yeah,
much everything, because then you can start breaking things down into value add and non-value add steps, right? But
right.
that's pretty interesting that you guys approached it from that standpoint. And that's how you're continuing to grow. So that's
Right.
pretty. You need a lot of diligence to do that. It's not like a lot of people just come out of the gate thinking that way. So
No, it definitely takes a lot of, diligence, like you said, and at the end of the day, you do need stuff on paper, on a document, on Excel, just so you have those things, everyone's clear on the same page.
sure.
But especially starting out, unless if you need that huge funding,
Mhm.
you really just need basically a solid game plan. That's really what it is. What are we gonna do for these next 6 months, next year? What is it gonna look like?
Yep.
And you can really start there.
Establish the vision. I love
Yeah.
it. Kind of going to the original startup then. Did you guys invest a bunch of your own money into this, or was it more of what they call a bootstrap, which is, you just, as you kind of went, you reinvested, or did you guys actually look for funding from the outside?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we pretty much just bootstrapped it. We
Okay.
didn't take on any outside funding. Um, we yeah, bootstrapped it. Try to keep our costs as low as possible,
Sure.
but keep our product as effective as possible.
Mhm.
And yeah, so we started out, like I mentioned before, we have four employees working with us. Well, when we first started, we had zero. So
Right.
everything that they were doing, we were doing.
Okay.
So that's one of the biggest ways we were able to bootstrap it was basically put our time in. That was
What?
probably the biggest our sweat equity, exactly. So that was like the biggest thing
Mhm.
was really just our time figuring out our system and processes, and
Sure.
then slowly as we started making more money as we progressed,
Mhm.
okay, then we hired this out, then we hired this out, and then we kind of grew from there.
Now, you said you guys focus on only a couple of communication channels. Um, what is the rationale behind that? Like, why not attack all these different lead channels that are out there?
Yeah, that's a good question, and there's a few different answers. Number one is the cost.
Sure.
Each lead generation um, platform,
Mhm.
each method costs money. So you don't want to spread yourself too thin, because if you're just sending out, if you're doing one call a month
Mhm.
and one letter a month, let's just say, what if you just double down on one of them?
Mhm.
And that's what we've seen, honestly, from talking to people and from our own experience,
Sure.
is you really can't do them all, especially out of the gate, because then you won't master any of them,
Mhm.
and you'll just be subpar at all of them. And if you really have to be better than good to actually make one of them work.
Right.
So for us, it was really a no brainer of we need to only pick one, maybe two,
Mhm.
and go from there. And especially, and like I said before, bootstrapping it. If
Right.
you're bootstrapping it, you can't be on every single platform. Same thing with social media. It's hard to master and be a huge have a huge influence on every single platform,
Right.
especially in the beginning. So it's kind of that idea that master one, get that one down.
Mhm.
Once you have that one down, then you can go and explore.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to explore, there's so much to learn. Like I said, we're spending months and months, and we're literally just focusing on like two platforms, two different methods. If we try to do like six or eight, oh my God, we would probably still trying to be figuring it out. And the
But
whole
yeah, that focus is critical. And I come from a background where I really didn't appreciate marketing, like I should have. And I
yeah,
learned through the school of hard knocks the stuff you're talking about, which is, try and narrow your focus, right? Really target some areas, because you can spend a lot of money on marketing. And I'm just
yeah.
curious, what's your process metric for that? Do you guys do like marketing cost per lead? Do you guys boil it down to that level, or just
Yeah.
overall
So
spend?
yeah, so we basically, yeah, it's a good question. Again, it's like a big funnel.
Right.
So we decide for us and for our different clients how many. Well, first of all, how many leads they want on the bottom.
Yep.
Because you might think, well, doesn't everyone want a million leads? Yes and no. When you're an investor, there's a lot of different factors in it. So,
Yeah.
if you only have a few $1,000 and no investors, you
Mhm.
probably can only handle one deal. You know what I mean? So we kind of gauge it off of that first and foremost. So we see, okay, what do we need to fill the top of the pipeline up with? How many people, how many potential sellers? Then from there, we filter it down and we have our metrics for that. So
Okay.
we're seeing between a 10 and 20% response rate to
Okay.
our initial outreach.
It's pretty good actually.
Yeah. So 10 to 20% initial outreach.
Mhm.
From those, we see what, so 10 to 20% are responding.
Mhm.
About 4% of them
Mhm.
are responding in a way that they're saying, yeah, I'm interested. They show some
Sure.
positive sign that they're interested.
Right.
So for example, if we texted 100 people, if we reached out to 100 people,
Yep.
10 to 20 of them would reply.
Yep.
And about 4 to 8 would be our people who would say, I'm interested in hearing a little bit more. They'd say something positive, basically.
Sure.
The other people who responded but aren't part of that percentage, they're saying no thanks, cursing you, a lot of different things. So, and then out of the 4%, then it boils down even more, and we have metrics for kind of all that. But we basically start at the top and we say, okay, how many do we need to get one? And we can really just manage it that way.
Sure. That makes sense. Like I said, marketing funnels can be very complex. You can spend a lot of time. And if you're not developing that process, like you've talked about before, it can waste a lot of time and money. So
for sure.
Question for you. What is the biggest deal you guys have done?
Biggest deal we've done. Well, we have a few exciting deals, and every deal's big, it has different, excitement and I guess large size.
Sure.
But so one that we're working on right now, man, there's a few of them really. So let me start with this. We have two strategies. We buy property and we rent them out. So we have renters, we have tenants in there, and we make our money from the difference between the mortgage and what the tenant's given us in simplicity, in easy terms.
Right.
The other strategy we do is the classic fix and flip. So we'll buy a property, we'll fix it up, we'll sell it, and we'll make our money between the sales price and all the money we put into it.
Sure.
So as far as a fix and flip property, we have two really exciting projects going on right now that I think are gonna yield a nice outcome.
Okay.
So one of them is we bought a property for $70,000, $70,000. Needed a lot of work. So it's funny too, depending where the listeners are in the world, really,
geography,
they're thinking, if they're in New York, they're thinking, I can't even buy a bathroom for $70,000. But if they're in a Midwest market, they can kind of understand it. If they're in California, they're probably thinking $70,000 wouldn't even cut the tax. No, so we're in Illinois. Prices in our markets are typically a little bit less, especially because we're in the Midwest.
Sure.
So this property purchase price is $70,000 and needs a lot of work. So we have a budget at about $40,000 to $50,000. So we'll be all in. We'll call it $50,000. So we'll be all in for $120,000, and we're looking to sell it for $200,000.
Nice. And I've seen some of the work that you guys have done on Facebook. Like this kitchen renovation that Frank posted was unbelievable. It's nicer in my kitchen, actually.
So it's an exciting deal, and it's exciting to go through the process and learn. But I want to say we're not doing anything by ourselves. It's not just like me, myself, I'm just going to flip this house. There's so many different people that go into it that make it fun, exciting, and complex. From starting with how we found the deal, which is our lead generation company. Then how we actually bought the deal, because as investors, we typically don't like to use too much of our own money because everyone's money runs out at some point, including the wealthiest investors. So we like to bring in other partners, investors, and give them opportunity as well, and give them a rate of return.
Okay.
So we're able to involve a lot of different people, and it's not just us making the money. We have, several, probably honestly it comes down to probably a dozen people with all our contractors, our lenders, with all that being said, we probably have a dozen different people making money, which is kind of cool too. It's not just like you take the selling price minus the purchase price and the rehab, and that's what we're making. We're making that, but on top of that, we're also, feeding a lot of other people, which is kind of unique as well.
Absolutely. No, that's pretty cool, and that's one of the things I enjoy about what Frank and you do, is that you guys are helping other people get involved in this market who don't have the maybe the acumen or the wherewithal, to do. So appreciate that. Could you, complete this sentence for me that, you guys couldn't have done it if it weren't for blank, and fill in the blank.
We couldn't have done it. I know for me, I couldn't have done it without a strong network. Same thing. And then I'd probably say the same thing for we couldn't have done it without a strong network.
Sure.
Because at the end of the day, like I said, if we don't know anybody,
Mhm.
even if we had all the money in the world,
Yep.
if we don't know anybody, well, we don't have anyone to actually fix what we don't know how to fix.
Right.
So taking it from a step back, we need all these literally dozens of people
Mhm.
in our network. If we don't have these people, we literally couldn't do any of it.
Yeah. Power of the network is huge. Definitely.
Yeah.
It can knock down
That's definitely,
major obstacles, right?
yeah.
Looking at the last 12 months, though, right? We've been stuck in this whole COVID environment. What's been the biggest impact? I mean, you guys started this company during the whole COVID economy, right? And
Right.
what's been the biggest obstacle, relative to COVID?
Yeah. Biggest obstacle. Well, there's definitely a few of them.
Mhm.
Actually, a lot of big obstacles.
Sure.
One of them is just the market condition
Mhm.
in general and interest rates. When coronavirus just was hit and announced and everyone was scared, no one knew what was going on.
Right.
Hindsight is obviously 2020.
Mhm.
And if we knew certain things, that probably could have helped us or hurt us. But I would say the biggest takeaways from COVID in the past year
Mhm.
is one, you can't have all of your eggs in just one basket.
Sure.
That's number one. Number two is just the way you go about doing things.
Mhm.
You just need to be able to adapt. So whereas before we were, people were meeting sellers maybe face to face more,
Mhm.
using real estate agents more. Well, now we need to kind of just adjust our approach and have more phone calls, have more Zoom calls.
Mhm.
It's even changed how we run our day to day. Is everything's online, and we realized we don't need an office and an in-house team. We can have people from all over the world really work with us
Yep.
because of this environment. Yeah, of course, yes, people have done that for for years now, but COVID definitely created that sense where, well, if you haven't already adjusted to what's coming,
Mhm.
you better adjust right now or else you're going to be left behind.
I don't think it's ever going to go back either. I mean, the thing we try and do with this podcast is to grow small businesses and entrepreneurship, because that's the backbone of the U.S. economy. And
Right.
if people haven't taken away that, like you said, you can operate a very diffuse or remote organization using these tools. I mean, that's significant, right? If you
Right.
don't have the overhead of brick and mortar, there's some serious savings there, right?
Big savings, big efficiencies, and
Yep.
and all money aside, obviously the money part, especially for business, that's huge.
Mhm.
But even just the efficiency that we're able to communicate
Right.
is huge, because we don't have to go to the office and then have a meeting and waste an hour here, an hour there. Because at the end of the day, time is really the most valuable resource out of
Yes.
them all.
Yes.
So the amount of time that it's been able to save us has been probably the most valuable. And then right behind it is the money side of things.
Definitely. Question for you: is your family, or is Frank and his family, do you guys have your families involved in this at all?
Not so much, not really.
Okay.
Besides just kind of supporters,
Okay.
and um, you know, I can speak for my family. They don't have a real estate background,
Okay.
so as far as that side of things, there's
Sure.
nothing really there.
Yep.
Frank's family as well. He has some younger kids that
Right.
are too younger to even know what's going on, and
Right.
then and yeah, so his family's not too involved either.
Yes. Okay.
It's really, yeah.
It's interesting because, like, some people do bring their families into it and other people don't, right? And just family and friends tend to make things kind of messy in that regard,
You
right?
definitely can, yeah.
So passion, determination, right, are the two biggest emotions most entrepreneurs bring to the table, right? And with those, you can do a lot. Um, what are you most passionate about this and creating this venture, right? What drives you?
Yeah, that's a good question. And the one thing that drives me out of everything out there is the ability to control my time.
Okay.
Now, for me, and that's really what got me interested in entrepreneurship just in the first place,
hmm
is I was able to see that I want to just be able to it's pretty much being a business owner. And obviously there's a lot of time that comes in on the front end.
hmm
But when done properly, it could save you a lot of time on the back end.
hmm
So I'm a fairly young guy. I'm 20 years old,
hmm
and I'm kind of, just me looking at the future of, where do I want to be in 5, 10, 15 years? And
Sure.
I know that when I have my family, I want to be able to not say, oh, sorry, I can't come to this event. I can't come to this. And the other piece that with the reality we live in is, sorry, you can't do this. I don't have enough money for it. So, definitely the time is number one. Is, I could, once I build my foundation, I can go take a few weeks. I can spend my Saturday afternoon doing this. I don't have to, So the time piece is definitely number one.
Good for you for realizing that. And 20 years old, to have that clarity is pretty amazing.
I
I wish I
appreciate
had
it.
that when I was 20.
Yeah,
um, do you guys do anything giving back to the community? Are you guys involved in any kind of charitable type contribution events or anything?
so as far as charitable contributions in the community, we're actually, that's a really good question.
Mhm.
There's not any organization in the community that we've partnered with or done any type of partnership, but
Sure.
that's definitely something that would be super interested. And I
Yeah.
think we could definitely, I, that it's yeah, I do some volunteering on the side
Nice.
back in my community and that type of thing.
Mhm.
But when the head's down, it's honestly hard to it's
Yeah.
it's honestly sometimes hard to think, oh wait, I need to be partnering with this charity. So now that you bring that up, though, it's really a great. I appreciate you bringing that up, because there's a lot that we could be doing on a lot of different fronts as far as just a classic, charitable partnership goes
Yeah.
in the community. So that could definitely be a discussion we have, and see, what we could do with the skills we have, with the resources we have, to help the community.
I mean, things I look at, like you guys are taking homes that, and you're rehabbing them to make the areas nicer. I mean, that's huge, right? And you guys
Yeah.
definitely
Oh,
have skills that could definitely benefit, groups like Habitat for Humanity and others. So I mean, there's
right. Yeah.
definite ways to interact and give back. And I'm a big proponent of that. Try and live that with my businesses, and I just think it's really important to kind of groom that as you go forward.
Yeah. And I want to say too, like with our investing, like you said, we're
Mhm.
making the community nicer. We're taking a house that looks like, it needs a lot of work. It looks distressed. Doesn't make the town look nice.
Mhm.
We're doing those things.
Mhm.
We're also helping sellers out of their situations.
Right. Yes.
You might be surprised at how many sellers they need us, honestly, more than we need them to make. Like,
Mhm.
they're in a situation where they're stuck. Maybe they're behind on mortgage payments,
Right.
and they're going to be foreclosed on. And so as far as giving back in that sense,
Mhm.
we help, obviously a lot of people, from sellers to the community,
Sure.
on that front of things.
Mhm.
I was more mentioning before on, just a charitable, more of a
Right.
charitable way of things. But as far as helping the community, yeah, there's a lot that real estate investors and us do, as far as providing
Mhm.
nice places for people to safe, clean, nice places for people to
Yes.
stay, employing different people in the town. There's all those things, of course.
There's a lot of things that are just a result of what you're doing, which is
Right,
great.
right.
What's the future outlook? So when you look at 2021, right, we're already got one quarter behind us in the rearview mirror. What's the future outlook for the rest of 2021 for you?
Yeah, great question. So we have gotten to the point where we're very comfortable with our systems and processes. We're always still improving them and getting better, but we really want to double down and increase our output, our production. So
Mhm.
right now, we're pretty much on pace to buy, whether it's fix and flip, rent out, just acquire
Mhm.
4 properties a month right now. So
Okay.
pretty much one a week, we're buying a property.
Mhm.
We're looking to, one, keep that going, but we also want to increase that number.
Sure.
So we want to get to a point where, okay, we're doing 4 a month. How can we get to 6 a month, 8 a month,
Right.
and grow it that way, and whole other growing pains on both fronts with the lead generation. Because like I said, that top funnel, you need more on the top funnel. Then on the and then on the actual real estate side of things, you need more contractors. You need more all that good stuff. So it's really just I guess a kind of a balancing act.
Okay.
And seeing, how can we grow as sustainable as possible.
I think you guys will. You guys have the mindset of doing the process, so have the diligence, right? So Bailey, I mean, thank you for taking time to share your experience with us. Before we sign off here, any parting words or any asks for the listeners that are out there? How can they help you, or any words of wisdom you want to impart?
Yeah, I would say a few things. Number one, something that we could help others with, and they could help us with as well, is on the property dog side of things. We're always looking for more real estate investors who typically have a little bit of experience, have done a few deals, and we'd love to partner with them and provide them leads. So if any of the listeners know, felt maybe they are real estate investors themselves that are struggling with the lead gen, reach out. We could definitely help you out with that. On the other front, for people who are like, real estate, I don't really know much about real estate, but I do kind of want to get involved in some way, maybe learn a little bit more about it. We're always looking for more investors. So, if someone's interested in lending, investing in one of our properties, we're always looking for, like I said, the deals and the money, two things that every investor needs. So we're, always looking to really give other people the opportunity to first of all, diversify and get a nice return on their money while also learning about real estate. So those are two big things. And then for my last piece of wisdom, I would say, no matter what industry you're in, networking is the number one thing that'll get you, I think, the farthest. Because there's most things out there, unless if you're creating like an Uber, where even Uber though, there was taxis before. So there's not that many things out there that are so brand new that nobody could help you out with. I really don't think there's anything. So what I'm trying to say is the networking piece, find someone who's done something either exactly like you're doing. If there are people like real estate investing, plenty of people who real estate invest.
Right.
If it's more niche, find someone who is as close as possible to what you're trying to do, and try to just pull a few pieces of nuggets from them, because that'll save you a lot of time and money.
One thing to add to that, even if the person you're networking with isn't directly involved, they may have a contact who is. So just networking and just, you get access to other people. So that's a great piece of advice, and I really appreciate that. Bailey, thank you again. And to our listeners, if you want to get in touch with Bailey and Frank and the property dogs or the investment piece, I'll put all that into the comments here afterwards. And definitely be well, be safe, and be productive. Thank you. Thank you for joining our podcast. If you'd like to reach out to Bailey and learn more, you can email him at bailey@baileykramer.com. You can also find him on LinkedIn, as well as his partner, Frank Lamarck. Additional links that we discussed during the podcast to the Property Dogs website are below. If you want to recommend somebody to appear on the podcast as a guest, please email us at info@opsqc.com. If you're interested in sponsoring a podcast, please reach out to us at the same email. We'd love to have your support.